I bought the house on Sycamore Lane with one thing in mind: peace. After 2 combat tours overseas and a medical discharge, I wasn't looking for handouts or sympathy. I just wanted a quiet corner of the world to heal. Willow Creek looked like that kind of place: tree-lined sidewalks, manicured lawns, and a gate that swung closed like a promise. But peace is fragile. And in Willow Creek, it had a name: Barbara Winslow. She met me before I finished unpacking the moving truck. She had a clipboard in one hand and a glare sharp enough to slice drywall. Mid-60s, wearing a powder blue tracksuit and pearls like she was headed to brunch with a senator. "I'm Barbara, HOA president," she said, as if announcing royalty. "You must be the new homeowner." I extended a hand. "I'm Matt, and this is Atlas." Atlas sat beside me, alert but calm. A black Labrador in a red service vest, his brown eyes scanned the world with practiced serenity. He didn't bark, didn't lunge, just watched. Barbara's eyes dropped to him. "We have breed restrictions here." I kept my tone level. "Atlas is a registered service animal under federal law. That overrides HOA pet regulations." She didn't blink. "I see." Her voice was honey over vinegar. "Still, dogs need to be leashed at all times. Even service ones." "He is leashed." Her eyes flicked to the lead attached to my belt.
Well.
"Just make sure he doesn't cause disturbances. Some residents are sensitive." I watched her walk away, already scribbling on her clipboard like I'd failed an exam. That was the moment I knew Barbara wasn't a neighbor. She was a storm dressed in pastels. Over the next few days, Atlas and I settled in. He'd been trained to sense my triggers: loud bangs, crowded spaces, sudden movements, and interrupt them before they spiraled. Nightmares, anxiety attacks, he handled them all with quiet precision. If I was struggling, Atlas pressed his weight against my chest, grounding me in the present. He saved me over and over. And Barbara hated him for it. 3 days after we moved in, I got my first HOA violation notice. Unapproved flagpole. It was a small American flag on a bracket by the front door. A week later, dog-related noise disturbance. Atlas hadn't made a sound. Then came the letter requesting immediate reevaluation of the animal's necessity. I stared at the envelope, stunned. She was challenging my disability. I emailed the HOA board, attaching Atlas's documentation, including his ADA certification, his VA prescription letter, and photos of his official vest. I kept the message polite, professional. No reply. Days passed, and the violations kept coming, each more trivial than the last. Improper trash bin storage, excessive sidewalk usage, potential aggression during leash walk. That one made me laugh until I realized she was building a case, a paper trail to justify whatever came next. And still I kept my head down. Atlas and I walked only at permitted hours. I used the exact 6-foot leash length. I even recorded our walks, just in case. But no amount of rule following was going to change the fact that Barbara had declared war. I began to notice her watching from behind curtains. I caught her standing behind trees when we passed. Once, she followed us for 2 blocks, then turned and walked away when I reached for my phone. Atlas always walked closest to the street, putting space between me and the hedges. He didn't flinch when Barbara glared, didn't react when her tiny dog, off-leash, charged at him barking. He simply stood, calm as a statue, trained to absorb hostility without returning it. One evening, I overheard her speaking to a neighbor. "If that man wants to bring his animal here, he should expect consequences." That was the line that broke something in me. She didn't see Atlas as a dog. She saw him as a symbol. And she didn't see me as a veteran. Just a problem she hadn't solved yet. So I started documenting everything. Notes, timestamps, videos. I didn't know what Barbara was planning, but I knew she wouldn't stop on her own. And I was right. 2 weeks later, as Atlas and I walked past her rose bushes, something snapped. Not in me, but in her. She stepped onto her lawn, clutching a spray bottle in her gloved hand. Without warning, she raised it and sprayed Atlas in the face. Atlas stumbled backward with a sharp yelp, blinking rapidly as the chemical mist clung to his face. I dropped to my knees beside him, the sour sting of vinegar and ammonia burning my nostrils. "What the hell did you just do?" I demanded, gripping Atlas's harness with one hand and shielding him with the other. Barbara stood poised like she'd just swatted a fly, her gloved fingers still wrapped around the trigger of the spray bottle. "I warned you," she said coldly. "Keep that animal away from my property. He wasn't even on your lawn." My voice trembled, not with fear, but fury. He was 5 feet from the sidewalk. I felt threatened. Her lips curled in disdain. He looked like he was going to attack. "He's a service dog, not a pit fighter." Barbara gave a casual shrug. "My rights don't disappear just because you drag your disability into our neighborhood." That sentence landed like a punch. For a moment, I just stared at her, willing my fists to stay unclenched. Atlas nuzzled my arm, breathing shallow, his eyes red-rimmed and glistening. I reached for a handkerchief, dabbing at the fluid clinging to his face. "You think this is over?" I said quietly, steadying my voice. "You just broke federal law." She raised an eyebrow.
Please.
"It's a dog. You think anyone's going to take you seriously?" She turned on her heel and walked away. But I didn't move. I couldn't. I sat there on the sidewalk, one hand stroking Atlas's back, the other gripping that soiled handkerchief like it was a trigger. Barbara had crossed a line she didn't even know existed, and I was going to make sure she paid for it. I rushed Atlas to the emergency vet clinic. They flushed his eyes, examined him for chemical burns, and wrote up a detailed medical report. The vet, a sharp-eyed woman named Dr. Ellis, leaned in close as she handed me the paperwork. "If she used an ammonia-based cleaner, this isn't just animal cruelty," she said. "This could have blinded him." I swallowed hard, trying to stay composed. "Can I report this?" "Absolutely," she said. "And you should." I filed a police report that night. Then I went home and opened my laptop. It was time to stop reacting and start fighting back. I scoured the ADA website called the Veterans Affairs Office, even posted in a legal forum for disability rights. Every source said the same thing. Interfering with a service dog was a violation of federal law, specifically Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Not only could Barbara face fines, but she could also be sued for damages. And if I played this right, the entire HOA could be implicated for failing to act on a known pattern of harassment. The next morning, I emailed the HOA board. I attached the vet report, the police file number, and a freeze frame for my doorbell camera, the exact moment Barbara sprayed Atlas. The image said it all. Atlas retreating, ears pinned back, Barbara mid-spray, face twisted in contempt. No reply. No apology. Just silence. Later that day, a new violation notice appeared on my door. Owner confrontation with resident. Disruptive behavior. I laughed out loud. The pettiness was so blatant it almost didn't feel real. But it was real.
And it was war.
That night, I walked Atlas under the streetlights, sticking to the middle of the sidewalk, camera recording. Every step was measured. Every glance documented. I wasn't just walking my dog anymore. I was building a case. Across the street, lights flickered in Barbara's house. Her blinds twitched. She was watching.
Good.
Let her see me. Let her wonder what I was planning. Let her feel what it was like to be exposed. Atlas nudged my thigh, his gait slow but steady. He was healing but wary. And I knew that if I let this go, if I let her win, it wouldn't stop with him. It would happen to the next veteran, the next disabled neighbor, the next person she deemed unfit for her perfect little kingdom. Barbara thought she was fighting a nuisance. She didn't realize she'd just picked a fight with a soldier. And I never lost a war I knew how to fight. Barbara Winslow may have ruled Willow Creek, but she didn't own the law. And after what she did to Atlas, I was done playing defense. The first step was strategy. I wasn't just going to throw accusations, I was going to build an airtight, bulletproof case. One she couldn't weasel her way out of with HOA jargon and backhanded charm. I sent everything to a local disability rights attorney, Maria Leland. Former ADA litigator. Veteran advocate. No nonsense. She called me within 24 hours. "This is textbook interference," she said after reviewing the footage. "She assaulted your service dog. That's a federal violation, punishable by civil fines, and it can get criminal if we push it. Especially since you've got documentation showing a pattern of harassment." "She's hiding behind the HOA," I told her. Maria chuckled. "Then we drag the HOA into the light too." We filed an official complaint with the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, attaching the evidence. The video, the vet's report, the HOA letters, even the nonsense violation about Atlas looking aggressive. Maria knew how to speak their language. While that moved through channels, I took my fight local. The next HOA meeting wasn't scheduled for another month, but I requested an emergency session. Not to complain, to present evidence. Under HOA bylaws, a hearing could be called if a resident submitted a claim involving community safety or federal law violations. Barbara tried to block it. She claimed I was being disruptive and antagonistic. But the board was starting to sweat. Barbara had always operated in shadows, bullying through bureaucracy, counting on fear and silence to keep her throne. But I wasn't afraid, and I wasn't silent. The emergency hearing was set for the following Thursday. I arrived 10 minutes early, wearing a press shirt and my army lapel pin. Atlas lay at my feet, calm and alert. His eyes still had a faint redness from the spray. It was a subtle but powerful reminder of what had been done. Barbara arrived late.
No clipboard this time.
No pearls. Just a tight, forced smile and a stack of papers she didn't get to use. I stood before the board, thanked them for their time, and pressed play on the video. Gasps rippled through the room as the footage rolled, Barbara raising the spray bottle, Atlas recoiling, me shouting. No editing. No drama. Just cold, quiet truth. Then I passed out copies of the vet report, the police file number, and my federal complaint receipt. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to accuse. The facts did it for me. When I finished, no one spoke for a full 10 seconds. Then the board president, a wiry man named Cal Jennings, cleared his throat. "Mrs. Winslow, do you deny spraying Mr. Parker's service dog with chemical irritants?" Barbara straightened her back. It was a natural deterrent, vinegar and water. I felt threatened. "By a leashed, vested service animal standing on a public sidewalk?" he asked. She blinked. "Well, Do you have any documentation proving Atlas is aggressive or untrained?" She faltered. He stared at me. "That dog has energy." Even her allies on the board shifted in their seats. Cal sighed and turned to me. "Mr. Parker, on behalf of the board, I'd like to formally apologize for how this situation has been handled. You should not have been ignored. The board will issue a written censure to Mrs. Winslow, and we will be reviewing her conduct as HOA president." I nodded once.
Calm on the outside.
Boiling inside. Barbara's eyes flared, just for a moment, like something had slipped behind a curtain. Fear, maybe, or fury.
I didn't care which.
After the meeting, Cal pulled me aside. "Between you and me, there have been complaints about Barbara for years. But no one ever had proof or the guts. You did." "It wasn't just about me," I said. "She crossed a line." He nodded. "And now she'll answer for it." But I wasn't finished. The DOJ complaint was still active, and Maria had filed a cease and desist letter, demanding Barbara halt all contact with me and Atlas, or face civil litigation. She thought the worst was over. She didn't know the real consequences were just beginning. Barbara didn't show her face for the next few weeks. The blinds at her windows stayed drawn, her daily walks vanished, and her manicured lawn began to brown at the edges, as if even the grass had turned against her. But justice doesn't hide behind curtains. It arrives in daylight, in plain envelopes and courthouse letterhead. Maria called me on a Monday morning. Her voice was calm, but I could hear the quiet satisfaction beneath every word. "The Department of Justice accepted the complaint," she said. "They're opening an investigation, and the local ADA office is reviewing the evidence for possible criminal charges." I exhaled slowly, staring out at Atlas curled at my feet. He lifted his head, sensing my mood like always. "We'll also be moving forward with the civil suit," Maria added. "Assault on a service dog, emotional distress, targeted harassment, all of it. And we'll name the HOA as a complicit party for failing to intervene. It wasn't just about vengeance. It was about accountability, about sending a message to every Barbara still hiding behind bylaws and fake civility. 2 weeks later, a sheriff's deputy hand-delivered the summons. Barbara's porch camera caught the moment. The footage leaked to a local news station, then a national veteran advocacy group picked it up. The headline went viral. Veteran service dog attacked by HOA president. DOJ investigates federal violation.
Barbara tried to fight it.
She called the lawsuit a smear campaign, claimed she was being targeted for upholding neighborhood standards. But the internet wasn't buying it. Neither were her neighbors. Signs began appearing in windows. "We stand with Atlas." Someone chalked "Heroes deserve better" across the sidewalk near the park. The final blow came at the next full HOA election. Cal Jennings, the interim president, motioned to impeach Barbara permanently. The board voted 5-0 in favor. The motion passed. Barbara Winslow, Queen of Willow Creek, dethroned. The morning after the vote, I took Atlas for his usual walk.
It was sunny, quiet.
Kids played hopscotch on the cul-de-sac. A woman waved from her porch. A man in a wheelchair gave me a respectful nod. Something had shifted. We passed Barbara's house. The blinds didn't move. No curtain twitched. But there was a "for sale" sign in the yard. I didn't smile. Not exactly. But my chest felt lighter. Atlas nudged my leg, as if to say, "It's done." But I wasn't quite finished. When the case finally went to mediation, Barbara arrived with a new lawyer and an old attitude. She tried to paint herself as the victim, harassed, misunderstood, mentally strained by my presence. Maria shut it down with precision. "We have video, witness testimony, and medical documentation," she said, flipping through the evidence binder. "Your client's behavior wasn't a misunderstanding. It was malicious, sustained, and unlawful." Barbara's lawyer leaned in. "Would your client be willing to settle?" I didn't hesitate. "She issues a written public apology, pays damages, and agrees never to serve on any HOA board again." Barbara scoffed. "You want to ruin my reputation?" "You did that yourself," I said. The settlement was finalized within the hour. Barbara's public apology was posted to the HOA newsletter and mailed to every resident. The language was dry, but the signature at the bottom was real. So was the 5-figure settlement she wired to cover Atlas's treatment, emotional harm, and legal fees. That money didn't go to me. I donated most of it to a veteran service dog nonprofit and sent the receipt to the HOA board. Call it full circle. Weeks later, as I watched Atlas nap in the sun by our porch, a thought settled over me. Quiet, simple, true. I had come to Willow Creek searching for peace. Barbara had tried to steal it, tried to remind me of every moment I'd felt powerless in the past. But she failed. Because peace isn't given. It's claimed. And sometimes, to protect it, you have to fight like hell.